Elite Facts presents
8 video game predictions for E3 2017. 8. The Evil Within 2. Okay, we're a little biased with this one, admittedly, but all in all, the first Evil Within was a legitimately good game. Yeah, the story made almost no sense whatsoever, but its gameplay was almost solid and was a very challenging experience. Now, the question is, how could they possibly make a sequel to a game that somewhat closes the book on itself? We think. Again, the story is just all over the place. Well, our theory is that this series could be more of an anthology series in which each title in the franchise tackles a new form of horror in a different direction. For all we know, the next game could stray away from the hospitals and villages and move strictly to urban environments, focusing on a different form of enemy. Similar to how Halloween 3 was, with it straying away from the Michael Myers storyline for a more supernatural type story. Then again, we can never be sure with the director of The Evil Within and the original Resident Evil, Shinji Mikami.
7.
Wolfenstein: The New Colossus. So, along with The Evil Within 2, it's been rumored for quite some time now that the Wolfenstein reboot will in fact get a full-fledged sequel, and it's been teased countless times by voice artists, the developers, and Bethesda themselves. The first clear hint of this came at E3 last year, during Bethesda's conference in the form of a mock MS-DOS screen that showed very little Wolfenstein release after the 3D game, along with their respective release dates. At the bottom of the list, New Colossus can be seen without a release date, hinting that the new game is currently in development. Brian Bloom, who's the voice actor for the game's protagonist, BJ Blazkowicz, has stated the sequel will take place in Blazkowicz's homeland and will go more in depth on his story. Earlier this year, Hines has stated that Wolfenstein developer Machine Games, quote, has been hard at work on something which I can tell you I have played. It's fucking bananas, and I can't wait to show what it actually is. That sounds incredibly promising to us, as the last game and its expansion pack, Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, was absolutely insane with its high-octane action, and we look forward to seeing where the direction of the series goes next.
6.
The Return of Far Cry. Now, this one is just speculation. There's no concrete evidence, and there's only a few rumors circulating online in regards to a new Far Cry game. So this prediction will most likely be wrong, but hey, that's the fun of making predictions. So, Far Cry has had a bit of a rough patch as of late. Far Cry 3 was pretty damn fantastic, if we don't mind saying so ourselves, and Far Cry 4 was good, but nowhere near as good as its predecessor. Far Cry Primal, however, yeah, it's pretty forgettable. I mean, it's an alright game, but it's nothing special if we're being perfectly honest. But hey, we can't knock Ubisoft for trying something different. That's why we're excited for the rumored new Far Cry game that's said to be a more Western-themed game. We think the biggest problem with Primal was the lack of guns. I mean, that's what made Far Cry so good. All the insane yet surprisingly realistic weapons at your disposal. I mean, who can forget about the flamethrower? That weapon is badass in Far Cry 3. We think a Wild West theme could easily work in Far Cry's favor. Again, this could be one of the more unlikely things to show at E3, but hey, if it does, then great.
5.
Xbox reveal exclusives. Or at least they need to. So in all honesty, the Xbox One is a cracking system. However, it lacks one major thing: exclusives. Okay, they've got Halo, Gears of War, and Dead Rising, which we think is a timed exclusive going off of press releases and interviews for Dead Rising 4, meaning it could appear on the PS4 soon. Other than that, that's really about it. Crackdown 3 is taking forever, and Scalebound will never see the light of day. Now, take a look over at PlayStation. They've got The Last of Us, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn, Until Dawn, Ratchet and Clank, a new Spider-Man game, and Bloodborne, just to name a few. And trust us, there's tons more. Now, we're not trying to start a console war, but you have to admit, Xbox is lacking in exclusives. Hopefully, E3 this year can finally turn it around for them. As of right now, we can expect Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, and State of Decay 2 to make an appearance, and we can at least expect a release date for 2 of those titles. Let's just hope they've got more to show off. 4. Assassin's Creed. Yeah, this one should be no surprise. So, from 2007 up until 2015, Ubisoft has released a new Assassin's Creed game every single year. In fact, they released 2 games in 2014. and needless to say, we all got burnt out. Not that the games are bad, in fact, most of them are actually really good. Sure, the older titles may have dated a slight bit in terms of gameplay, but they're still fun to play, and a majority of the games in the series have a fantastic storyline. Just ignore all the modern-day crap with Desmond. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. The series started to burn players out, and that became abundantly clear with the release of Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which underperformed in terms of sales. So Ubisoft did the smart thing and decided to take a gap year in order to take time to revitalize the series, and instead released Watch Dogs 2 in its place. Now that they've had their gap year, we can probably expect to see a new Assassin's Creed game this year. Many reports are claiming the game will be set in ancient Egypt this time around, and will have the title Assassin's Creed Empire. Hopefully this game is built further on the foundation the last game laid down, so we can all get a refreshing experience this time around rather than the mostly cookie-cutter gameplay we've had for the past 10 years.
3,
Days Gone release window revealed. This is another prediction that may or may not happen, as we only just saw this game at last year's conference. However, from what we've seen, this game looks pretty far in development from that 5-minute snippet of gameplay showcased last year. Now, sure, it could have just been a tech demo to show off the core of the game. However, it's been in production since January 2015, so a release window isn't completely out of the question. Not to mention, this is the first AAA game that SCE Bend Studios has released since Siphon Filter, the Omega strain on PS2 back in 2004, as they've since shifted their focus to developing portable shooter titles for the PSP and Vita, which are excellent, we might add, as they've created spin-off titles to games such as Uncharted and Resistance. If we were going to take an honest guess, it will most likely get a holiday 2018 release. Fun fact, did you know that Days Gone is being developed by the same people who developed Bubsy 3D on the PlayStation 1? Yep, Bend Studios has come a long way.
2,
Resident Evil 2 Remake. So this one is a long time coming. Announced way back in August of 2015, the Resident Evil 2 remake is something that many fans of the franchise have been clamoring for the last 15 years. Since that initial announcement, we've heard nothing, and we've seen nothing with regard to the remake. We haven't even seen any leaked rumors. Well, we think at E3 this year we'll finally get our first glimpse of the Resident Evil 2 remake. However, we wouldn't expect to see a release date, as they're building this game from the ground up, unlike their Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0 remasters. Either way, we're looking forward to seeing a survival horror classic get the next-gen treatment. Here's some other quick predictions. Rockstar may make an appearance during Xbox's conference to show off Red Dead Redemption 2 on their new Scorpio console. A specific release date probably won't be shown, or, like in true Rockstar fashion, it will be pushed back. CD Projekt Red will show off Cyberpunk 2077 in some capacity. Konami will unfortunately show more footage of Metal Gear Survive along with a release date. Nintendo will port Super Smash Bros. Wii U to Switch, much like they did with Mario Kart 8. 2K Games will announce a major title, possibly BioShock 4, The Darkness 3, Borderlands 3, or a completely new IP.
1,
Death Stranding gameplay reveal. Okay, so this one is a bit of a shot in the dark. However, we know the elusive Hideo Kojima will most likely be present at E3 this year, and we know Sony is certainly going to want to push their new exclusive third-party title onto the public. Now, the reason this is a shot in the dark is because, although it has technically been in production for a good while, as it was first announced back in December of 2015, we also need to take into account that the actual development of the game didn't start until 2017, as Kojima Productions was in search of the perfect engine to use for their new IP. Also, Kojima likes to take his time on projects, so we probably won't see the game out until 2019 at the earliest. That being said, however, we might get to see a sneak peek in terms of how the game's development is progressing. Things such as character models, environments, and maybe even early gameplay footage. If not, however, we'll probably just get another well-made trailer with highly addictive music that we'll all be listening to on repeat until the next Death Stranding trailer. Seriously, Kojima has an awesome taste in music. What are you hoping to see at this year's E3 Games Expo? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.